Hi, my name's Lorelei and you're watching the Handmade by Lorelei podcast. This is episode number 50-something. I'll put it on the screen. Today is Thursday, February 1st, and I'm coming to you from upstate New York, where I live with my husband and two little cats. I'm a full-time jewelry designer and I knit in my free time, and this is my knitting podcast. You can find me all over the internet as Lorelei Erdo. I have an Etsy store where I sell jewelry at loreleierdojewelry.etsy.com. My website's loreleierdo.com. And I'm on Ravelry as Lorelei Erdo and Instagram as Lorelei Erdo, in case you want to follow me in all the places, which I recommend you do because I really take advantage of social media, if you didn't know that about me. Today I am feeling a little bit under the weather, but I thought I would do a podcast because that's what I feel like doing. So when I get sick, I do what I want, and usually I like to take me time, and I don't force myself to do work of any kind, and this doesn't feel like work. This is fun, so I hope you enjoy this podcast. I've got a bunch of stuff to show you today. I'm going to go over a few upcoming CALs I've been participating in. I will also talk about a finished object, some works in progress, 3 works in progress. I'm going to talk a little bit about punch needle, some upcoming projects that I plan on doing, and something a little bit different I'm going to share also. But I guess that's part of my finished objects. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. First, let me say I will try my best to cut out all of the snotty bits because I do have a little bit of a runny nose. I've taken some Alka-Seltzer, so hopefully that is remedied very soon. I do have a box of tissues here. Like I said, I'll try to cut out all of those bits, but when I start podcasting, I always get a little bit drippy. So just warning you, if that bothers you, bye. And if not, I hope you hang out. So where to begin? I'm gonna go ahead and share my finished object. I'm really excited about these because these are my very first self-striping socks. If you follow me already on Instagram or Facebook, you probably have already seen those today because I posted pictures of them this morning. If not, this is the yarn that I used. This was, I purchased this on Etsy. The shop is called the Yarn Jar Shop. The Yarn Jar Shop, yeah. And I hadn't really ever seen any of their yarn online before now. I don't think she's even on Instagram. I'm not sure why that is, but I just fell in love with this colorway, and I wanted something with this nice bright fuchsia in it for some socks. So I bought this, and it took a good 5 weeks to get to me because everything in her shop is dyed to order. So I ordered it, and I waited and waited and waited, and when it finally came, I was really, really pleased. Let me grab the tag. There is all the info there, and the colorway is Blossom. This actually shows her website, theyarnjar.com, but I bought these on Etsy, so just so you know, she does have an Etsy store. And I'm saying she like it's a girl, but I don't even actually know, so I'm sorry if that's not a girl. Anyway, being that these are my very first self-striping socks, I didn't know really how to manage the striping for the heels and toes yet. I'm not well versed in self-striping socks, so I decided to pull in a color for the heels, toes, and cuffs because that seemed fun. And luckily I had a little mini skein from Madeline Tosh. This is Euro sock, and the colorway is called Weathered Frame, and actually it's a little bit deeper than that, but the color is very similar to that stripe. So that is actually really, am very happy with this yarn. I highly recommend this yarn for socks. It knits up so beautifully. This is a beautiful tonal colorway. I would definitely buy full skeins of this from Madeline Tosh. I got this in a mini skein set that I bought on their website. So here is my finished socks. They turned out so nice, as you can see. I did these toe up. I cast on 12 stitches. I increased to 60 stitches. And I knit these on magic loop, which is why you've got that, excuse me, I'm sneezy. Which is why you've got that crease. I'm not sure how to remedy that. I have not blocked these yet. That might remedy it a little bit. The heel I did was a German short row heel. I've done this a few times just because it's so easy to remember how to do it, but I really don't love the way it fits or the way it looks. So I think I really need to start taking the time and doing the heel flap and gusset from Sockmatician, because I really just love how that looks and feels on my foot a lot better than these short row heel. And then I did a twisted rib for the ribbing, and I did a nice stretchy bind off. So there's a lot of nice stretch in the cuffs. I am really excited about wearing these. They're so awesome. The yarn, I highly recommend it. It's really super soft. It's an 80/20 superwash merino nylon, 400 yards. Now, the thing I'm curious about is what I should do with the rest of this, because this is like a pretty sizable amount. This is 5 grams, or what did I say? It's about 1.8 ounces, which I think is 50 grams? 51 grams. What do you do with your leftover sock yarn, the self-striping sock yarn? I don't really know. I suppose I could do a pair of shorty socks as a gift. That might be what I do with this. So I guess for now I will put it away, and in the future if I want to dig it out and re-knit with it again, I will probably do that. So here's my Blossom socks. Blossom, wasn't that a show in the 90s? I've been called Blossom before. It actually really hurt my feelings. I was in the mall and these two girls were in the aisle with me, and they were saying that I look like Blossom because I have the same nose as her. But now I embrace it. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. So these are Blossom socks. Yep, really happy with those. Super pleased. And I'm really excited to try more self-striping yarn. I had bought that skein of coloring book yarns, so I've got that in stash. I also bought a skein of nomadic yarns in a Harry Potter colorway. I know, what? It's, I can't even remember now what it is. It's called something of magic, mismanagement of, I don't know. I don't remember. I'll show it next time because it's on its way. It's not here yet. And then I also got this skein of Does anybody know how to say their name? Quare fiber. This is a 75 25 superwash merino nylon, 463 yards, and the striping of this is going to be really cool because in between each of the colors there is a different tone of gray. So it's color gray, color gray, color gray, color gray, and that's going to be really fun. But I think I'm going to take a break from striping and do something a little bit different in my upcoming. I'll just talk about that now since I mentioned it. I printed out this pattern today. I'm going to do the spree socks. This is a free pattern on Ravelry by Kemper Ray of Junk Yarn. And it's a sock for DK or worsted weight. So I thought that would be nice and fast. It's a cuff down, so that'll be a nice change of pace from my usual toe up. And I picked this out of my stash to use. This is a beautiful skein of Woolen Boon in the Ever colorway. Boon DK, 4-ply, superwash merino, 250 yards. It's just this gorgeous green with beautiful plum speckles. So that's coming down the pike next. I'm gonna probably cake this up today. All right, take a sip here. I'm drinking orange juice, trying to get some vitamin C, you know. Okay. I'm going to talk first, before I talk about this punch needle stuff and my other stuff, I'm going to talk about works in progress. First thing I want to talk about is the socks that I'm working on for Rosie. They're in timeout. I was in the middle of doing a heel and something happened. And I tried to fix it and made it worse. And then I ripped the heel out, and now I have live stitches hanging out, and I have to get them back on the needle, but I was not in the right frame of mind to do it that time, at that moment, so I actually put these socks away, and I told Rosie they were in timeout. To reiterate, the yarn I'm using, it's this Red Heart aloe. Has aloe in it. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll show you the progress that I have so far. Yeah, this is the live stitches. So here's the sock. I don't want to mess around with that too much because there's live stitches just chilling. This is the other sock. So I'm knitting them concurrently. This one I'm knitting on a 9-inch circular. The other one I'm doing magic loop because I was working on the heel. The colorway is fun. I'm doing 72 stitches. I'm hearing banging. I don't know what that was. Probably my neighbor. So yeah, anyway, if you have any tips or tricks on putting tiny stitches back on a tiny sock needle, let me know, because this, I'm not looking forward to dealing with this. And I really don't want to rip that sock all the way out and re-knit it. I just need to be nice and calm and do it, but not today. So, timeout project number 1. Timeout project number 2 is some mittens. I do have a finished half object. I finished one of these mittens. I will put the pattern on the screen. I forgot to bring the pattern in here. But I thought these were really fun. This yarn is the Fiber Company, and I'll put the name of it on the screen. It's got this really fun slip stitch pattern up the front. So I finished the first one and I was like trucking along on the second one. I mean, like literally 2 days it took to knit 1.5 mittens. And then I picked it up one night and I said, shit. I did another right mitten instead of the left mitten. So this thumb should have been on this side. So now I have to rip back to the thumb and try to get the stitches back on the needle. So that's timeout project number 2. Man, I was not lucky that week. Those 2 mishaps happened the same week and I was like, come on, can I catch a break? You know? So another day for those, because oh gosh, love them though, love them. Oh my gosh. My third work in progress. Okay. My third work in progress is my Kristen sweater by Kristen Tendike. This sweater I've been working on since the summer. This was supposed to be my Rhinebeck sweater. And I picked it back up about 2 weeks ago. And I've been, did I show it last podcast? I might have. Or might have talked about picking it back up. I'm not sure. But I'm knitting it out of Barocco Ultra Alpaca Worsted in Periwinkle. This is just the remains of a ball here. I've made incredible progress on the sweater. And here is what I have so far. So the sleeves have been attached. I've knit the entire yoke. And I am now working on the back of the hood, which the cables go all the way up the back of the hood. The cables are all the way on the, this is the back. So now I've separated so that I can work just on the hood, and then after I get all the cables done, I will pick up and do there's maybe 1x1 ribbing, I think, all along the front of the hood, and that goes also, it overlaps and goes down in that section. I don't know what that's called, this section. Looking at the pattern online, it's weird that some people did not overlap. And I'll put in a picture here so you can see what I'm saying. It's like the hood comes down and then one half of that ribbon goes down here and it attaches, and then the other hood ribbon comes down and attaches on top. So then they're overlapping basically. So there's no buttons or anything, it's just an overlapping fabric. Some people didn't overlap it. Some people knitted it. I don't know why they did it like that. It clearly needs to be overlapped. So maybe that wasn't clear in the pattern, or I don't know. But the pattern hasn't gotten very good reviews, I have to be honest. Didn't read those until recently. Probably should have looked at that before I decided to knit the sweater, but I'm too invested now. It's happening. So I am almost done and I'm just gonna power through it. One of the things I don't like is the increases. Can you see that? I don't know why it did that or why it looks like that, but I don't really dig that. I had some trouble doing this, a three needle bind off. Not my favorite thing. And I don't have DPN, so I was using the tips of another interchangeable set, and they're just way too short to do this kind of a thing, but I did it anyway because it's what I had. But I guess that's all I have to say about the sweater. You know, a lot of people podcast and talk about their sweater knits, and I just feel like people overthink it a little bit as far as sizing and stuff. I tried my sweater on. I didn't swatch. I don't swatch for sweaters. It fits fine. Fits great. It's gonna grow a little bit, which is fine with me because I'd actually like it to be a little bit oversized. I don't think that the cuffs will well, maybe they'll block out a little bit. So they seem still a little bit tight. That's the only tight part of the whole sweater though. Maybe the forearms are a little bit tight. So I'm hoping that does grow a little bit during blocking, but you know, I'm not overthinking it. I kind of approach my knitting like I do jewelry, where I just kind of trust my first instinct and go with the flow. Like, I try not to just, if I start overthinking something, I don't want to work on it anymore. So I'm just trying to keep things easy and flowing, and there's the armpits have to also be 3 needle bind off connected. So I'm not really looking forward to that, but hopefully this will be done next time I podcast, because that'll be really, really fun to wear. And we're still in the dead of winter here in New York State, so there's still plenty of time to wear an alpaca sweater. So there's that. I'm really excited to cast on a new sweater. I don't want to do it until this one's done, because I feel like that'll be all I want to work on. But I'm looking forward to doing something really simple, like super easy. I have one in mind. It's a Andrea Mowry sweater that's fairly recent. And it looks kind of boxy, and it's kind of, I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it on the screen here. I'll throw in a picture. Really super easy. Now, it is reverse stockinette though, so I'm not sure how that works. If that means I'm purling the whole sweater, or if that means I'm working on it inside out. Okay, so we talk a little bit about punch needle. Last time I spoke to you guys, I was excited to try out a new hobby, some punch needle. I showed you the tool, the Amy Oxford punch needle. I bought a number 14, and that's for fine yarn. I find that it works best with worsted weight. Sometimes even Aran weight. So I can't imagine. You must have to use like bulky weight yarn with the size. The other size I want to get is a number 10 for bigger yarns. So I'm using one of these guys. This is a locking embroidery hoop that has like a nice ridge on the inside. So you can pull the monk's cloth really, really nice and tight on this. And it works very well. I'm liking it. I think this size I got is 12 inch. Might be 14. So I'll show you my first finished object. I'm just really playing around. This dragonfly is kind of based off of a dragonfly tile that I saw, like arts and crafts type of ceramic tile. And this is the back side, but actually I like this side the best. I tend to like the back side better than the front loopy side. I just think it shows the detail a little bit better. So I just used scrap yarn for this project. This dark green I think is Brooklyn Tweed Loft, or no, it's not Loft, it's Shelter. Whatever the finger and weight one is. This is Madeline Tosh Vintage. This is Yarn Love DK weight. This is also vintage, or it might be DK. Vintage. Not vintage. Madeline Tosh DK. So yeah, it's taking a little bit to get used to it. I have actually finished another thing that I won't be able to show you until next time I podcast, because it's a gift and I haven't gifted it yet. So once I do that, I will then be able to show you. But it turned out really great. I'm really excited about it. I framed it. It turned out awesome, actually. And I do have monk's cloth stretched, and I had started something, but I wasn't happy with how it turned out. So now I'm thinking about what I want to do next on it. Like what design I want to do next. That's my biggest thing, is like trying to decide on what to do. There's so many ideas out there, and like so many possibilities. And I mean, you can call inspiration from anything: fabric, graphics, you know, like paintings. I've been looking at all kinds of things online, and I think I've oversaturated my brain with ideas, and now I'm just like comatose. So it's kind of, I get that way with knitting and trying to find new knitting patterns too. Like once I start looking at Ravelry for a little while, I get so overwhelmed with so many options that I just can't. Just can't. I have to like step away from it and let it sink in and eventually decide what I want to do. But it's a fun project and I'm enjoying working on it. Like I said, it's taking a little bit of time to get used to it. You can't have any tension on the yarn that's coming up out of the punch needle. That's one thing I've noticed, is that it can, even if it gets wrapped around the needle, it's enough to make it not work. So you have to like really constantly be messing with that yarn and making sure it's not like looped around, because you're punching down through the fabric and you have to go in the direction of the yarn. Has to be at the front of the punch needle, moving in the direction that you're going. And then say you make a turn, because you're like filling in an area. As soon as you make a turn, now the yarn is kind of starting to wrap around the punch needle. I'm not explaining this well, but that's one thing I was kind of frustrated with when I was working on my project. Other than that though, once you get the feel of it and how you really can't bring the punch needle up off of the fabric at all, or else also it won't work. So you just have to like really have a lot of concentration and also keep the yarn out of the way, and it's a whole thing. It's much different than knitting. And like I said, I really don't have any projects in mind for my next thing. So hopefully soon I will be able to settle on some kind of project, because I think it would be really cool. It'll be cool to make something for the wall, or do a pillow cover or something. So I'm looking forward to playing around with that a little bit more. It's not at the top of my priority list right now. My first priority is trying to get that sweater done and off the needles. And then in the meantime, I'm trying to just keep my other non-priority projects small and easy and simple. Something quick like mittens and socks that I can pick up and put down, and I don't have to have a lot of concentration involved. But like I was saying, I really can't wait to do another sweater that's easier, like without any cables or lace or things like that. So the last thing I want to talk about is something that I had done a while back and totally forgot to mention it on the podcast. I don't know what I was thinking, but I follow Suzanne Summer. She is So Sue Knits on Ravelry, and she recently put out a call for test knitters to test knit some knitted jewelry. And since I'm a jewelry designer, I took her up on that offer and actually did a couple of pieces for her. And they turned out really great, and you can see these on her project page. They've been linked up. The ebook that she created is called something to that effect. And the projects are so awesome. So I did 2 necklaces. The first one I did was this. There's no clasp on this, although this was the testing piece. So I made it, and I can just fit it right over my head. But this is the scallop necklace. And I used Madeline Tosh yarns for this. And it was so fun. I mean, this took like less than an hour to make. Nice little I-cord. The instructions are very easy to understand. And I totally recommend this. This would make a really, really great gift. I've thought about gifting mine, but I really enjoy wearing it. So I'm going to make a couple of more that I can stow away and give as gifts when I feel the need. So that's that's my favorite one. And then the other one is the chevron necklace, which is this. So this one's attached to chain. It's really nice, lightweight. It's got an I-cord edging. I used some unidentified mini skein from Stash, and the blue is, well, all the details are on my Ravelry page, so I will maybe link that down below. I know the speckled yarn, though, is junk yarn from Kemper in the Frida colorway, I think. And then I attached this cool little tiara cast pewter charm thing. So another really cool, this goes well with my shirt actually. It's really fun. So if you're looking for different things to knit that aren't necessarily garments and socks and mittens and things, this whole ebook is great. She's got all kinds of earrings, necklaces, not too many bracelets. I wish there had been more bracelets. But it's mostly necklaces and earrings, and then I think the very last project in the ebook is a headband with pom-poms on it, which is so cute. I was thinking about making that. I don't know how ridiculous it would look on me, but I recommend this for something different. So thought I would go ahead and mention those. Today I'm gonna maybe do some sewing. I'm participating in a couple of CALs recently. I've submitted a few things for the Treat Your Dang Self CAL, being hosted by Rachel of the Knit and Knitabilities podcast, and Kate from the Joni Unraveled podcast. They are co-hosting together a CAL to work on projects for yourself, especially after the whole gift knitting season. Now it's time to make ourselves some things. So I've actually submitted a few things so far. The mittens that I showed last week, or the last podcast. I also submitted my stripy socks and another pair of socks that I had finished since January 1st. That's when it started. I think the knit along goes along till maybe 3 months. I can't remember. I'm going to be submitting a project bag and maybe a stitch marker set as one of the prizes. And I'm going to be sending that to Rachel because she's in the US and shipping doesn't take quite as long. So I'm hoping to whip up something fun for her, and that will be a prize for the knit along. So just thought I would mention that in case you were interested in submitting your work to their knit along. It's really fun. I guess that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please click the like button down below. Give me a thumbs up. And if you want to be notified of future podcast episodes, go ahead and subscribe. And be sure to hit the little bell down by the subscribe button so that you can be notified via email that I have a new episode up. Anyway, thanks very much for checking out this week's podcast, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Bye!